At Easter dinner, my brother's wife said, "You're not really part of this family. You're just the ATM." Everyone laughed. I didn't. I also didn't pay for their kids' summer camp that year. Suddenly, the ATM jokes weren't funny anymore. Hey Reddit! Never thought I'd be posting here, but after what went down with my family over the past year, I need to get this off my chest. This is about the Easter dinner that changed everything, and how one joke turned into the most expensive mistake my family ever made. I'm Jake, 34 male, and for the past decade, I've been what you might call the family success story. Started a commercial HVAC business right out of trade school when I was 22. Worked 80-hour weeks for years, building client lists, learning the business side, saving every dollar I could. Now I've got 12 technicians working for me, contracts with half the office buildings in the metro area, and I clear about $180,000 a year after expenses. Not bad for a guy who spent his early 20s crawling through attics in the Texas summer heat while my college-educated brother was getting his MBA. My older brother Kevin, 37 male, took the traditional route, got his business degree, landed a middle management position at a regional bank, married his college girlfriend Jenna, and had 3 kids by the time he was 30. On paper, he's got the whole American dream package. White picket fence, golden retriever, minivan in the driveway. The problem is Kevin's always been terrible with money. He's one of those guys who makes decent income, but somehow always lives right at the edge of his means. His mortgage payment is astronomical, because he needed the house in the right neighborhood. His wife doesn't work because the kids need her at home, but they've got a cleaning service, lawn service, and eat takeout 4 nights a week because nobody has time to cook. Meanwhile, I drive a 6-year-old truck that runs perfectly fine, live in a modest house I paid off 3 years ago, and still pack my lunch most days. Different priorities, I guess. Here's where things get complicated. About 7 years ago, Kevin hit a rough patch. The bank restructured his department, his position got eliminated, and he was unemployed for 4 months. His savings lasted about 6 weeks before the credit cards came out. By month 3, he was looking at foreclosure. My parents asked if I could help out. Just temporary, they said. Just until Kevin got back on his feet. Family helps family, right? I wrote him a check for $8,000 to cover his mortgage and car payments. Told him to pay me back whenever he could. No interest, no pressure. He promised he'd settle up once he landed a new job. That was 7 years ago. I've never seen a penny of it. But that was just the beginning. Over the years, the requests kept coming. Sometimes from Kevin directly, sometimes through my parents, sometimes from Jenna with tears in her eyes, talking about the kids. Their oldest daughter needed braces? I covered $3,200. Kevin's car needed a new transmission? I paid $2,400. Christmas was tight one year? I bought all the kids presents, about $1,500 worth. Their middle kid wanted to play travel baseball? I funded the entire season at $4,800. Every single time it was just this once and we'll pay you back. I kept a spreadsheet because I'm not an idiot. Over 7 years, I'd given them $47,600. Not loaned, given because not $1 ever came back to me. The funny thing is, I didn't really mind at first. I had the money. They had the need. That's what family does, right? My parents raised both of us. And if Kevin was struggling, helping him meant helping my nieces and nephew. But something shifted over time. The requests stopped being emergencies and started being conveniences. The gratitude disappeared and got replaced with expectation. Kevin stopped saying thank you and started saying, "Can you handle this?" Like I was his personal bank branch. And the jokes started. It was subtle at first. Little comments at family dinners about how I was the successful bachelor with no expenses. How nice it must be to have all that disposable income without kids to worry about. How I should spread the wealth around since I didn't have a family to support. Kevin would laugh and say I was like the family ATM, always there when you needed a withdrawal. Everyone would chuckle. I'd smile and change the subject. But it was getting old. What really bothered me was the double standard. When Kevin bought a new $60,000 SUV last year, not used, brand new with leather seats and a sunroof, nobody questioned his priorities. When Jenna posted pictures of their beach vacation to Florida, nobody asked how they afforded it. But when I mentioned maybe taking a fishing trip to Alaska, my mom asked if that was really necessary, given that Kevin's family could probably use help with some upcoming expenses. The message was clear. My money was everyone's money, but their money was their money. The Easter dinner happened at my parents' house. The whole family was there. Mom, Dad, Kevin, Jenna, their 3 kids, my aunt and uncle, my cousin and his wife. About 15 people total, packed into my parents' dining room with the good china out and a ham the size of a small child. Everything was fine at first. The usual small talk, kids running around, my dad complaining about his golf game. I'd brought a bottle of sparkling cider and some flowers for my mom. Standard family gathering stuff. Then we sat down for dinner. I ended up between Kevin and my cousin across from Jenna. The kids were at the smaller table in the living room, which meant the adults could actually have conversations without constant interruptions. About halfway through the meal, my mom brought up summer plans. My aunt and uncle were taking their kids to a dude ranch in Montana. My cousin was doing a cruise to Alaska. Kevin mentioned they'd signed the kids up for this fancy day camp program. It's one of those STEM camps, Kevin explained, spearing a piece of ham. Robotics, coding, all that cutting-edge stuff. Really expensive, but totally worth it for their development. How much does something like that cost? My uncle asked. About $4,500 for the summer, Jenna said casually, like she was talking about buying groceries. Per kid, but we really believe in investing in their education. I did the math in my head. 3 kids, $13,500 total, for summer camp. Wow, my aunt said. That's quite an investment. Well, you can't put a price on quality education, Jenna replied, taking a sip of water. We're fortunate that we can prioritize the kids' development. I noticed she didn't mention that Kevin had asked me about helping out with summer activities 2 weeks ago. I'd been vague, said I'd think about it. Apparently, they'd gone ahead and registered anyway. That's when my dad made the comment that set everything in motion. Jake, you're awfully quiet over there. No summer plans of your own? Nothing major, I said. Probably just work on the house, maybe do some fishing locally. Fishing again? Kevin laughed. Man, you really know how to live it up. Meanwhile, some of us are out here providing experiences for the next generation. Someone's got to fund those experiences, Jenna added with a little smile. Right, Jake? There was a pause. Everyone was suddenly very interested in their plates. What do you mean? I asked, keeping my voice neutral. Oh, come on, Jenna said, waving her fork. We all know how this works. You're not really part of this family in the traditional sense. You don't have kids. You don't have the same responsibilities as the rest of us. Your role is more financial. You're basically the ATM. She said it so casually, like she was commenting on the weather. Not mean, exactly. More matter of fact. The table went dead silent. Even the kids in the other room seemed to sense something had shifted because their noise level dropped. Then my cousin laughed. Just a short bark of a laugh, but it was enough. Kevin chuckled. My uncle smiled into his napkin. My mom made a soft, "Oh, Jenna" sound, but she was smiling too. My dad looked uncomfortable but didn't say anything. Everyone was laughing, at me, about me being the family ATM. I didn't laugh. I just sat there, fork halfway to my mouth, looking at Jenna's smug face across the table. That was a joke, she said, noticing my expression. Don't be so sensitive. Right, I said quietly. A joke, but it wasn't a joke. Not really. It was the truth spoken out loud, dressed up as humor so nobody could call her out on it. It was every assumption, every expectation, every presumption of the past 7 years crystallized into one perfect sentence. You're not really part of this family? You're just the ATM. I set down my fork and took a drink of water. My hands were completely steady. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was something else. Calm. Clear. Like someone had just explained the rules of a game I'd been playing wrong for years. You know what? I said, pushing back from the table. I just remembered I've got an early job tomorrow. Need to prep some equipment. I should probably head out. My mom protested. There was still dessert. We hadn't had coffee yet. Couldn't I stay just a little longer? Sorry, Mom. Work calls. I kissed her cheek, shook my dad's hand, gave a general wave to everyone else. Happy Easter, everyone. Kevin followed me to the door. Hey, man. Jenna didn't mean anything by that. You know how she is. She just speaks her mind. Yeah, I said, pulling on my jacket. I know exactly how she is. We're still good for the camp thing, though, right? I mean, the deadline to cancel is next week, but we figured you'd want to help out. It's educational, you know? Really high quality. I looked at my brother. Really looked at him. This guy I'd bailed out more times than I could count. Who'd never paid me back a single dollar. Who just sat there while his wife called me an ATM and everyone laughed about it. I'll think about it, I said, and left. The drive home was 20 minutes. I spent the whole time thinking about that comment. Not angry thinking, analytical thinking. Like I was diagnosing a problem with a faulty HVAC system, tracing the issue back to its source. The problem wasn't the joke itself. The problem was that Jenna had said what everyone was thinking. She'd just been the only one honest enough, or rude enough, to say it out loud. And everyone had laughed because they agreed with her. I was the family ATM. That was my role. That was my value. When I got home, I pulled out my spreadsheet. $47,600 over 7 years. An average of $6,800 per year. Plus the emotional labor of being on call whenever they needed something. Plus the assumption that my money and time were available whenever convenient for them. I added a new line item to the spreadsheet. Projected summer camp contribution, $13,500. Then I deleted it. Monday morning, I sent Kevin a text. Short and simple. About the summer camp, I won't be contributing this year. Good luck with it. He called me within 5 minutes. I let it go to voicemail. He left a message asking me to call him back. There must be some confusion. We needed to talk about this. I didn't call back. 3 hours later, Jenna called. I didn't answer. Her voicemail was longer, more emotional. This wasn't fair to the kids. They'd already registered. The deadline to cancel without penalty was in 4 days. They'd planned their whole summer around this. Did I really want to disappoint my nieces and nephew over a silly comment she hadn't even meant? I still didn't call back. That evening, Kevin showed up at my house. I watched through the window as he got out of his expensive SUV and walked up to my door. I didn't answer right away. Let him knock 3 times before I finally opened it. "We need to talk," he said. "About what?" "About the camp. About what you texted me." "You're really not going to help?" I leaned against the doorframe. "Nope. Jake, come on. The kids are so excited. They've been telling all their friends about this camp. You can't just back out now. I never agreed to it in the first place. You asked if I could help. I said I'd think about it. I thought about it. The answer is no." His face was getting red. "This is about Easter, isn't it? About what Jenna said? She apologized, man. She feels terrible. She called me an ATM. Everyone laughed. Now I'm acting like an ATM and not dispensing cash. Seems consistent to me. Don't be like this. Don't punish the kids because you got your feelings hurt." There it was. The real play. Make it about the kids. Make me the bad guy for letting children down. "The kids will be fine," I said. "There's a free summer program at the community center." I looked it up. They do nature hikes, arts and crafts, swimming. Seems like a great time. Sign them up for that. That's not the same as the STEM camp. This is a premier program. This is about their future. Then you should probably figure out how to pay for it yourself. Kevin's expression shifted from pleading to anger. "You know what your problem is? You've always been jealous. Jealous that I have a family and you're alone. Jealous that I have kids and a wife and a real life while you're just working all the time. This is petty revenge because you're bitter." I actually laughed at that. "I'm jealous of you? Kevin, you're $47,600 in debt to me. You drive a car you can't afford to a job that barely covers your mortgage. Your wife thinks I'm an ATM and you let her say it because you agree with her. Why would I be jealous of that? $47,600? What are you talking about? The money I've given you over the past 7 years. I have a spreadsheet. Want to see it?" His face went pale. "That was loans. That was help when we needed it. You said no pressure, pay you back when we could. And when did you plan on doing that? Because it's been 7 years and I've seen exactly $0 come back my way. We've been struggling. You know that. We've had expenses. You had enough for a $60,000 SUV. You had enough for a vacation to Florida. You had enough for a $13,500 summer camp. You just didn't have enough to pay back your brother, who's been bankrolling your lifestyle." Kevin stood there, mouth opening and closing like a fish. Finally, he said, "You're really going to do this? You're really going to be this petty? I'm going to stop being an ATM. If that's petty, I can live with it." He left without another word. I watched him peel out of my driveway in his expensive SUV and didn't feel bad about it at all. The family pressure campaign started immediately. My mom called the next morning. Had I talked to Kevin? He was very upset. The kids were so disappointed. Couldn't I reconsider? It was just money, and family was more important than money. I pointed out that if family was more important than money, they wouldn't be calling me about money. She didn't have a good answer for that. My dad called that afternoon. More direct, less emotional. He wanted to understand my reasoning. This seemed like a sudden change in behavior. Was something going on with me? I explained very calmly that I'd been giving Kevin money for 7 years without seeing any of it back, and I was done. It was that simple. "But he's your brother," Dad said. "He's struggling. He drives a newer car than you do, Dad. He's not struggling. He's overspending. That's not fair. He has kids. Kids are expensive. Kids are a choice. Kevin chose to have 3 of them. I choose not to fund them anymore." Dad made a sound of frustration. "When did you become so cold?" "Right around the time his wife called me an ATM and everyone laughed." There was a long pause. Then, "She shouldn't have said that. But you're overreacting." "Probably. But it's my money and my overreaction, so I'll do what I want." Jenna tried a different approach. She showed up at my workplace with homemade cookies and a speech about family and forgiveness. I was in the middle of a job site, so I couldn't really make a scene. Look, she said, I know I messed up. What I said was out of line. I've been under a lot of stress with the kids, and I wasn't thinking. But you can't punish the children for my mistake. I was kneeling next to an air handler, trying to diagnose a pressure issue. The kids aren't being punished. They just aren't getting a luxury summer camp paid for by someone who isn't their parent. It's not a luxury, it's educational. Then educate them at the free community center program. That's not the same quality. I stood up and looked at her directly. Jenna, I'm going to make this very simple. I'm done giving Kevin money. I'm done being the family ATM. You want your kids in that camp? Get a job and pay for it yourself. Her face hardened. I have a job. I'm raising 3 children. Great. Then you understand the cost of the choices you've made. Figure it out. She left without the cookies. My aunt called. My uncle called. Even my cousin called, though his was more of a, hey man, I get it call than a pressure campaign. He admitted the ATM comment was out of line, and he'd laughed because everyone else was laughing, not because he thought it was actually funny. I appreciated the honesty, even if it was 7 days too late. The deadline to cancel the camp registration came and went. Kevin didn't cancel. I later found out he'd been convinced I'd changed my mind at the last second. When I didn't, he panicked and took out a personal loan at 12% interest to cover the camp costs. My mom told me this like it was supposed to make me feel guilty. He had to borrow money, she said, from a bank, with interest, because you wouldn't help. Sounds like he should have canceled the registration and used the free community center. You're being cruel. I'm being consistent. There's a difference. That summer was weird. I kept waiting for someone to apologize. Really apologize. Not just the surface level, sorry you're upset nonsense. Nobody did. Instead, they all acted like I was the one being unreasonable. Meanwhile, I started noticing things I'd missed before. Kevin posted pictures of the kids at camp on social media, tagging the program and talking about investing in our children's future. No mention of the personal loan or the financial stress. Just carefully curated images of happy kids doing robotics. Jenna posted about a new designer handbag she'd bought for herself. A treat for being such a hardworking mom. The bag cost $800. I saw the brand and looked it up. My parents went on vacation to Colorado. Nice hotel, fancy restaurants, scenic train rides. They posted photos every day. On the same trip, my mom called to ask if I could loan Kevin some money because he was a bit short that month. I said no. The pattern was so obvious once I started paying attention. Everyone in my family spent money freely on whatever they wanted, then acted shocked when bills came due. And somehow, I was always expected to be the safety net. Except now I wasn't. The real fallout came in August. Kevin's car broke down. Not a minor issue. The transmission failed completely. $4,800 to replace. He called me from the mechanic's shop, voice tight with stress. I know things have been weird between us, he said, but I really need help here. I can't get to work without a car. This is an emergency. Sounds tough, I said. What are you going to do? I was hoping, I know you're mad about the whole camp thing, but this is different. This is actually essential. Call a rideshare, take the bus, carpool. People without spare money figure this stuff out every day. I can't take the bus. My job is 40 minutes away. Then I guess you should have kept an emergency fund instead of buying a $60,000 SUV. That SUV is for the family. We needed a vehicle that could fit all the kids. And you bought it without an emergency fund. That's called poor planning. He was silent for a moment. Then, so that's it? You're just going to let me hang out to dry? You're not hanging. You're facing the natural consequences of your financial decisions. There's a difference. I thought we were family. We are family. But I'm not an ATM. Remember? That's the role you all assigned me, and I'm declining the position. He hung up on me. I found out later he borrowed from our parents to cover the transmission. They had to take out a home equity line of credit because they didn't have that much cash available. My mom called me about it. Your father and I had to borrow against our house, she said. Our house that we've been paying on for 30 years. Because you wouldn't help your brother in an emergency. Why couldn't Kevin take out a personal loan? I asked. He already has one, for the camp. His credit is maxed out. Then he shouldn't have registered for the camp. He should have canceled when I said I wasn't paying. These are all consequences of his own choices. When did you become so heartless? I thought about that question. When had I become heartless? Or had I just stopped being a doormat? I'm not heartless, Mom. I'm just done being used. There's a difference. She hung up on me too. September brought a new crisis. Kevin's oldest daughter needed a root canal. Emergency dental work. $2,300 after insurance. Kevin called our parents again. They said they couldn't help. They were still paying on the home equity line. So Kevin called me. I know you're going to say no, he started. I know things are bad between us. But this is for my daughter. She's in pain. The dentist says it has to be done within the next 2 weeks or she could lose the tooth. Have you asked Jenna's parents? They already helped us with the camp. I can't ask them again. Payment plan with the dentist? They want half up front. Credit card? Maxed out. Medical credit card? Care credit? There are options specifically for this. Silence. Then, so you're really not going to help? I'm helping by giving you other options. But no, I'm not writing you a check. She's your niece. And she's your daughter. Figure it out. He figured it out. Took on another personal loan. Higher interest rate than the first. I heard about it through my mom, who called to tell me I should be ashamed of myself. That child was in pain, she said. In pain. And you did nothing. Kevin did something. He took care of his kid, like a parent should. With borrowed money at a terrible interest rate. That's what happens when you have no savings and maxed out credit. Actions have consequences. By October, I was basically persona non grata at family gatherings. I still got invited. My parents weren't ready to completely cut me off. But the vibe was ice cold. People were polite but distant. Nobody asked about my business or my life. Nobody tried to include me in conversations. Fine by me. I'd never felt more peaceful. My business was doing great. Without the constant drain of helping Kevin, I'd been able to invest in better equipment, hire another technician, and bid on larger commercial contracts. I was actually growing instead of treading water. I also had time for myself. Started going to the gym regularly. Took a weekend trip to the mountains. Had dinner with actual friends instead of just family obligations. Turned out life was pretty good when you weren't constantly managing other people's financial crises. Around Thanksgiving, my cousin reached out. We met for coffee, just the two of us. The family is organizing an intervention, he told me. An intervention? About your financial abuse of Kevin. That's what Jenna's calling it. She's convinced everyone you're being cruel on purpose to hurt the kids. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Financial abuse. That's rich. I know, man. I told them it's ridiculous. But they're serious. They want to sit you down and talk about rebuilding family trust and addressing your issues with money. My issues with money? Yeah. Jenna's been telling everyone you're obsessed with tracking every dollar and keeping score. That you're resentful about having money and they don't. That you need help letting go of material things. I stared at him. She's literally rewriting history. I gave them $47,600 over 7 years. That's not keeping score. That's being a bank. I know. But that's not the story they're telling now. In their version, you helped out a few times, and now you're holding it over their heads. The numbers keep getting smaller every time someone tells it. So what's the intervention? Christmas dinner. They're planning to corner you after the meal. Have a family talk about what's really going on. Get you to agree to help Kevin get back on track financially. Back on track? He was never on track. My cousin shrugged. Just giving you the heads up. I'm not participating for what it's worth. This whole thing is insane. I thanked him for the warning. Then I made a decision. I didn't go to Christmas dinner. Sent a text to my parents the morning of, not feeling well. Going to sit this one out. Merry Christmas. My mom called immediately. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail saying this was very suspicious timing, and I needed to be there because the family needed to talk to me about something important. Exactly what my cousin had warned me about. I spent Christmas Day doing exactly what I wanted. Slept in, made a big breakfast, watched football, ordered Chinese food for dinner, called a few friends. It was the most relaxed holiday I'd had in years. Around 8 p.m., my phone started blowing up. Apparently, the family had gone ahead with the intervention despite me not being there. They'd had a whole discussion about my money issues and how I needed to step up and help Kevin get out of the debt spiral I'd supposedly created by cutting him off. My mom's voicemail. We had a very important family meeting tonight. You need to call us back immediately. This cannot continue. Kevin's text. Real mature, skipping Christmas. Guess you don't care about family at all. Jenna's text. Your niece asked why Uncle Jake wasn't here. I told her you were too busy counting your money. I hope you're happy. My dad's voicemail. Son, we need to talk about your behavior. This has gone on long enough. Call me back. I didn't call anyone back. Instead, I sent one text to the family group chat. Since everyone is so concerned about my money and how I spend it, here's some clarity. Over the past 7 years, I have given Kevin $47,600. Not loaned, given, because not $1 has been repaid. I have a spreadsheet with dates and amounts if anyone wants to see it. I stopped giving money because I was called an ATM at Easter dinner, and everyone laughed. I'm done being treated like a bank branch. This is not a negotiation. This is not temporary. This is permanent. Have a Merry Christmas. Then I muted the group chat. The responses came in fast and furious, but I didn't read them until the next morning. When I finally did, they were predictably defensive. Kevin, that's not fair. Those were loans you said I could pay back whenever. Jenna, you're twisting everything. We've been nothing but grateful. Mom, this is so hurtful. You're tearing this family apart over money. Dad, we raised you better than this. My aunt, I'm disappointed in you. Only my cousin. Good for you, man. Stay strong. I didn't respond to any of them. January brought the consequences of Kevin's debt spiral crashing down. Turns out taking out multiple personal loans at high interest rates while making minimum payments catches up with you fast. He called me in late January, crying. Actually crying. Saying he was drowning in debt payments, couldn't make his mortgage, was looking at foreclosure. The bank was going to take their house. The kids would have to change schools. Their whole life was falling apart. I need help, he sobbed. Real help. I don't know what to do. File for bankruptcy, I said calmly. Talk to a lawyer. They'll help you restructure your debt and probably keep the house. It'll wreck your credit for 7 years, but at least you'll have a path forward. I can't file for bankruptcy. That's so embarrassing. What will people think? They'll think you made poor financial decisions and face the consequences. Like an adult. Can't you just loan me enough to catch up? I'll pay you back. I swear. This time will be different. No. Please. I'm begging you. I'll do anything. I'll sign a contract. Whatever you want. Kevin, listen to me very carefully. The answer is no. Not maybe, not later, not if you meet certain conditions. No. I am done giving you money. You need to figure this out yourself. But I can't. Then you'll lose the house. And you'll learn a very expensive lesson about living within your means. He hung up on me. 3 days later, I got a text from Jenna calling me a heartless monster. Kevin had been so distraught after our conversation that he'd been unable to sleep for 2 days. I was destroying their family. I was ruining their children's lives. She hoped I was happy with myself. I blocked her number. My parents tried one last intervention in February. Showed up at my house on a Sunday morning, let themselves in with the spare key I'd forgotten they had, immediately changed my locks afterward, and sat me down for a talk. They'd been discussing things with Kevin and Jenna. The whole family, really. Everyone agreed I was being unreasonable. Yes, the ATM comment was inappropriate, but I was punishing Kevin and the kids for one mistake. It had been almost a year. Wasn't it time to move past this? This isn't about one comment, I said. This is about 7 years of being taken for granted. This is about being valued only for my wallet. This is about finally realizing I don't have to set myself on fire to keep everyone else warm. That's dramatic, Dad said. Is it? Add up all the money I've given Kevin. Add up all the times I've been the safety net. Now tell me what I got in return besides being called an ATM and laughed at. Neither of them could answer that. You're our son, Mom finally said. We love you, but we're disappointed in the person you've become. This isn't the generous, kind boy we raised. You're right, I said. I'm not that boy anymore. I'm a man who knows his worth. And my worth isn't measured by my bank account or my willingness to fund other people's bad decisions. So that's it? Dad asked. You're cutting us all off? I'm setting boundaries. If you can't respect them, then yeah, I guess I'm cutting you off. They left. I haven't talked to either of them since. Kevin filed for bankruptcy in March, lost the house in May. They moved into a rental in a cheaper school district. The kids had to change schools. Jenna got a part-time job at a retail store because they couldn't make it on Kevin's salary alone anymore. I heard all this through my cousin, who kept me updated despite the family drama. He said Kevin was angry and bitter, blaming me for everything. In his version of events, I'd abandoned him in his time of need and forced him into bankruptcy. Never mind that he'd spent 7 years living beyond his means. Never mind that he'd made every bad financial decision himself. Never mind that I'd warned him multiple times to be more careful. In his story, I was the villain. Fine by me. I'd rather be the villain in his story than the ATM in mine. My business hit $250,000 in profit this year. Hired 3 more technicians. Bought a newer truck. Still not luxury, but definitely an upgrade. Started dating someone I actually like, who has her own career and her own money, and doesn't see me as a wallet with legs. Life is good. Last month I got a letter from Jenna. A physical letter, mailed to my house. She'd written a long explanation of everything that happened from her perspective. How hard things had been for them. How Kevin had been trying his best. How the kids had suffered through all of this. How she regretted the ATM comment, but I'd overreacted drastically. The letter ended with a request for reconciliation. She wanted to rebuild our relationship. She wanted the kids to know their uncle. She wanted to move past this difficult period and be a family again. There was no apology for treating me like a bank for 7 years. No acknowledgement of the $47,600 I'd given them. No recognition that my boundaries were reasonable. Just a request to go back to how things were before, when I was funding their lifestyle and they were taking it for granted. I didn't respond to the letter, but I did frame it and hang it in my office. Not out of spite, well, maybe a little spite, but as a reminder. A reminder that people will take everything you're willing to give and still blame you when you stop giving it. A reminder that family isn't an excuse for exploitation. A reminder that the word no is a complete sentence. And a reminder that sometimes the best thing you can do for people is let them face the natural consequences of their own choices. Even if, especially if, they're family. Update. It's been 6 months since I posted this. Didn't expect it to blow up the way it did, but thanks for all the support, Reddit. A lot of you asked for an update, so here it is. Kevin and Jenna got divorced. Found out through my cousin again. Turns out the financial stress plus Jenna having to actually work for the first time in a decade was too much for their marriage. They started fighting constantly. Blame got thrown around. From what I heard, Jenna blamed Kevin for letting me cut them off, and Kevin blamed Jenna for making the ATM comment in the first place. The divorce was messy. Kevin's still paying off the bankruptcy aftermath, and now he's got child support and alimony on top of it. Jenna moved back in with her parents with the kids. She's working full-time now at the retail store and apparently hates every minute of it. My parents tried reaching out again after the divorce, asking if I'd consider helping Kevin through another difficult time. I didn't respond. The cousin who'd been keeping me updated, he and his wife invited me to their kid's birthday party last month. First family event I'd attended in over a year. My parents were there. Kevin wasn't. We didn't talk much, but my mom did pull me aside at one point. "I hope you're happy," she said. "Kevin's life has completely fallen apart. His marriage is over. He's struggling. And you just watched it all happen." "I didn't make him buy an expensive car," I replied. "I didn't make him register for camp he couldn't afford. I didn't make him take out multiple high-interest loans. He did all of that himself. You could have helped." I did help. For 7 years. Then I stopped. And this is what happened when he had to face reality without a safety net. She walked away. We haven't spoken since. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.